You're listening to the Reds Podcast.
This is episode number 63. We're talking about a book called Couple CEO, From the Bedroom to the Boardroom and Back. If you're interested in having a better relationship with the people you work with your business partner, even if you're not romantically involved with them, this is the episode for you. That's coming up on the Red Podcast.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money, work less, and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
David, do you think we would have ended up together if we didn't both have our own businesses?
I don't know because I see couples and they've all got something that they share together. Usually it's a kid. I don't know.
I think for us, we share marketing advice. We get super psyched about marketing when no one else wants to talk about that stuff to me.
Yeah, we were in a store a couple days ago, and I was like, Laura, look at this packaging. This packaging, it's brilliant. And I pulled out my iPhone and took a picture of it. Yeah, we do have that. I think the biggest thing that we share together, though, it's we understand sometimes you work weekends and sometimes you don't have to work weekdays. We understand sometimes you work nights, sometimes you want to take the morning off. We just understand each other's schedule.
And also we have similar interest within the business world and within living life. And I think that helps. It's not something that I find in all of my friends. I can't talk about blogging and podcasting and marketing and all this cool stuff to everyone that I know.
Yeah, it's interest. It's also understanding. Understanding that when you launch a product, you're working on your book now, for example. I know the process, having done it myself. I get it. You're in the middle of starting a partnership and getting that going because you're starting a new company. I get that. So yeah, I think just understanding, knowing where somebody's coming from. You and I are both Southerners. I think that's one of the things that helps. Anything that you've got that can help you to understand the other person, that's a good thing.
I think I'd still like you if you had a job.
No, you wouldn't, because I turn into a complete jerk when I'm working for somebody else.
Good point.
This is the Red Podcast. Red stands for Real Entrepreneur Development. We are for writers, authors, bloggers, coaches, anybody with a message. If you've got something that you want to share with the world, we will help you do that. We're about longevity here, not shortcuts. So if you want to be around 5, 10, 20 years from now, this is the podcast for you. Laurel and I are talking about couple stuff because of the topic of this episode. It started with a book that I read. It's called Couple CEO. It's by Scott and Heidi Schimberg. And it's actually Couple CEO, From the Bedroom to the Boardroom and Back. That's the subtitle.
Is that as dirty as it sounds?
Unfortunately not.
Aww.
That part was really, really disturbing to me. Yeah, I thought it was like a entrepreneur erotica or something. It was not.
Well, in episode 62, which you can find at redpodcast.com/62, we talked about successful business partnerships. And we thought since you've read this book, we would continue the conversation about business partnerships, but specifically business partnerships with your partner.
Yeah, this was an interesting book. Speaking of conversation, I think it was more of a transcript that they had a ghostwriter to clean up. It's not really a narrative, which is what I prefer. So sometimes it was tough to get some of the ideas out of it for me, but I pulled some big ideas out of it. And it seems to be these guys have a couple CEO framework. That's what they call it. And everything surrounds that. It's 5 main issues. It's intimacy, time management, health and fitness, business strategies, and also goals and dreams. Everything that we're going to talk about sort of fits into one of those categories. One of these things, I have found that being in a couple relationship, just being connected to somebody else, I find it a lot more difficult. I've had to step up my game since being in a relationship as opposed to when I was single. Not what you think. It's not intimacy. Although
that was my guess.
That was stepped up too.
Got to work on the intimacy.
No, time management. Time management, I think, when you bring somebody else into the business, you've got somebody else in your home, certainly not just a significant other, but if you've got kids, you know how important time management is. I don't want to focus on that too much because we've had entire episodes done about time management. And if you go to redpodcast.com, we've got a whole section there of time management ideas for you. But with that said, I think it's worth mentioning that that is a huge one. And anytime you're going to couple up with somebody or bring in a business partner, time management is something that you really have to have on lock.
I want to mention while you're on that topic is because the way you and I work coming into the same household was completely different. So I was the person that woke up in the morning, got to work immediately, and then got done by dinner time and then had the evening free. And you were kind of the other way around. So you like to do your workout and do other stuff in the morning that I would do in the evening and then get to work. So we kind of have mix-matched schedules. So that does make things difficult when you're trying to work with your partner and they don't do everything the way that you do it.
Yeah, we're on different shifts. I'm coming at it from a music standpoint. Way back when I was a musician, you're out in the club, midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., you sleep in. Day doesn't really start till maybe 11, and I've kind of kept that up. And a lot of that really is just because I had an outsourced team, had a lot of guys on the other side of the world, a big call center out in India, and I would stay up, and I would be ready to go to bed, and I would get these instant messages, and they would say, "Hello, Mr. David, we've got a question." They had just gotten to work, and they'd want me to get on it right away, so that is how that habit kind of started for me. But yeah, definitely something worth thinking about. Do you work in the same time zone even?
And it's really about working together. It's not that you come in with your partner to create a business and then you expect them to change to how you want them to do something. I mean, you really have to understand the other person and work together with what you already have or what I already have.
Yeah, I think these 5 things, the intimacy, time management, health and fitness, business strategies, goals and dreams, you want to be going in the same direction. So absolutely get that together before you get involved with somebody. And this isn't just for a couple, like a romantic couple. This is for any business partnership, which is why you mentioned episode 62, redpodcast.com/62. This is really a continuation of that topic.
They have 3 big rules about how to create that balance between your relationship and your business relationship. Can you talk about those 3 rules that they mention in the book?
The 3 main rules, it's nothing you haven't heard before. I've got some various thoughts to add to these rules because they're pretty basic. 1, have a date night. 2, play cards together. And 3, no business talk at dinner.
I don't think we do any of those.
No, we don't do any of it. We don't have a date night. Now, we'll say this. We have had, since we've met, we've done this for over a couple of years now. We have a standing date in the middle of the week to go out to lunch. We still do that. We did it when we were dating, and we're still doing it now that we're married. We do have dates, but our dates are actually on the weekends during the day a lot of times. We just take off, go somewhere, usually within the city, call it an urban date. We go somewhere within the city. So it's not like a traditional date maybe. So we do have times where we get together during the week. We do have times where we get together during the weekend. We don't play cards together. We've got some competitive stuff, though. We used to play racquetball quite frequently till you beat up on me and I busted my knee.
Yeah,
I had to go to a chiropractor for 1 year. Laurel is so tough on the racquetball court. I was getting a little bit pissed, I'll be honest with you. She was killing me. She's got this crazy move that she does that was getting me every time. Just couldn't beat her and injured myself.
I kind of looked out because you injured yourself right when you were getting better and you're going to get to the point where you could beat me, and then you injured yourself, and I was like, oh, that's too bad.
But you know what? I think the great thing about racquetball or cards or whatever you want, I love the competition. I think it teaches you how to lose well. And I think that's something that you have to have in a relationship. You're not always going to win. Sometimes you're going to have to make a compromise. And I think a game such as anything, it could be Mario Kart. We've talked about Words with Friends before. Racquetball, cards, whatever you do, I think knowing how to lose well is important, not only in your relationship, but in business as well.
I think also doing something with your significant other that isn't watching TV is really important. So if you have an activity you do, whether it's playing cards, whether it's walking, whether it's racquetball, whatever that looks like for you, do something where you can actually have a conversation and you're not just vegged out in front of the TV. That does not promote a healthy relationship.
Not at all. Not at all. No business talk at dinner. That's not our rule. Sometimes during those lunches, we will have business talk, but we do have that rule in the bedroom. No business talk in the bedroom. That's probably the one area of the house where we don't talk business.
Sometimes we break that rule.
Talk about that, because that happened last night.
Did it?
Not in the bedroom.
Oh, well, we were going on a walk last night around the neighborhood, and about halfway through the walk, I realized I've been talking about my upcoming business the whole time. I asked you, I was like, is it okay if I jeopardize the rest of the walk with this topic about business? And you said, sure, that's fine. But I think it helps to ask, and it probably would have helped me to ask the moment we walked out the door, like, can we talk about business now? Or is this a time not to talk about business? There's nothing wrong with asking the other person, can we do this now? Is it time? Is it appropriate to talk about this now? And if it's not, have a great time not talking about it and schedule a time to talk about your business. But you don't monopolize every single interaction with your partner by brainstorming about your business, because that's just not always fun and appropriate.
See, that's where that understanding comes in. Because I've started businesses before, because I work for myself and have done so for a number of years, I get where you're coming from. I think that's where that foundation is really, really important. And I'm excited about the business, too, that you're starting. Because of that, I'm also excited about the business that you're starting, and I don't mind talking about it. With all of this said, I think it's important that you don't have a one-sided relationship. All business, a lot of people do it with kids. All they talk about is kids. The kids get off to college, they find out they don't even know each other anymore. So it can happen with anything, but it's something that I've seen other people go through, and I'm trying to make sure that it does not happen with our relationship. It's a real danger, I feel, to any relationship, even non-entrepreneurial ones.
Another thing they mention in the book is having friends outside of a relationship.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is huge. Laurel is maybe the one wife that will kick me out. You were begging for me to go to Dallas to podcast Movement.
Yeah, I was.
Please leave for a business trip, please.
I know, I like having space.
Yeah, so we try to do that. You had an event last week. I've got one set up for a couple days from now. We try to do that on a fairly regular basis. I get together with the guys every Saturday now to go do a workout. I've got my own crew when it comes to going to do yoga, working out. You don't do any of those things with me.
No, I think it's important to have different friends and different activities. And for us, we have some couple friends and we have our independent friends that I don't see really your independent friends and you don't really see mine. And that's okay with us because we like to do our own thing.
Yeah, I think that comes down to trust. This would be important with any business relationship. We certainly talked about this on episode number 62, redpodcast.com/62 if you want to hear that. You have to trust the people that you are in partnership with, and we don't really ask questions like, where are you? Maybe out of curiosity, but not one of those things like we're trying to control the other.
Oh no, you don't want to be jealous. You know, I've had those girlfriends before who their partner goes out with the guys or goes out with a group of people and they get totally jealous and really upset about it. That's just going to drain your energy. You know, if you're not with somebody you trust, get with somebody else.
Well, it's funny being newly married. I know you had your friend who gave you advice to let me do my own thing.
Like
and
watch
said,
football.
Yeah, she said, if he's into sports, you've got to let him have his sports. And for one, I'm not into sports. But two, letting me do my own thing, that's such a non-issue between us and vice versa. So it's funny to hear what other people have to go through, but I do think that that's important.
And if it is an issue for you with your partner and you're listening in today, it's something you can work on. I mean, it's not something you have to be perfect at right now, but I think starting to have activities and friends outside of your relationship is going to help you work better with your partner in the relationship and in the business.
So in this book, Scott and Heidi, they also talk about synchronization. They talked about it in regard to a shared calendar. You know, you can sync calendars up if you've got a Google Calendar, if I've got a Google Calendar. Well, we use iCal personally through Apple, but you can do it where I can see your calendar and you can see mine, so we know what each other's doing. And I think that can be important. I think the main thing here is communication, but knowing what the other person is doing. So if you are booking business things or personal things for the other person, you can keep them in mind.
And actually, we don't have a shared calendar, but if we were at the point where we started to get really busy or we had more business trips than we do at this current moment or something like that, then that would probably be a useful tool for us. I think if you have kids, that's going to be a really useful tool. I know my parents have been doing that since the paper calendars, that came free in the mail years ago. So I think it's something that can work for you. But if you have good communication, you might not need it, but experiment with it.
Yeah, you might not need it. Part of the reason we don't have it is because I can just yell downstairs to Laurel, "Hey, Laurel, what are we doing Thursday night?"
Yep.
No, we try not to do that, actually. Try to let her have her space. She lets me have my space. That doesn't always work out. That's another thing that I would add, is give people space.
Oh, I think that's important. And I think maybe even synchronizing your space would be important too. Hey, I'm an introvert. I need space. You're an introvert. You need space. Let's just put that in the calendar at the same time.
Speaking of introverts, one of the things within this book was what they call the Myers-Briggs test. Have you ever taken that?
Absolutely.
So Myers-Briggs, the first one is I or it's E, which is introvert or extrovert, and there's some other ones. Do you know what you are?
I am an INFJ.
See, I'm INTJ. In the back of that book, do you have the copy of the book in front of you?
I do.
Okay, pull it up.
All right.
Because in the back, if you look up INFJ, it's going to tell you all about yourself.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because I need to know who you are, who I'm getting in here with.
This is me. There's a funny picture of a person with a shield head, so just go with that. I am a protector. INFJs are protectors of the cause, the vision, or the ideal that is their driving force. In the service to others, with their dreams and plans, they will inspire, listen, and create. They need their work to help others and to advance their vision. They are most comfortable in the creative idea stage, but are ultimately driven by the vision. They are content to work behind the scenes. They attract those around them through their inspiration and their keen sense to provide praise to others. It is important that the people they surround themselves with are harmonious. That's you, David.
Do you agree with it?
Oh, I think it's pretty accurate. I didn't read all the others to compare.
Okay, compare it with me, because I'm INTJ, which stands for introvert. What's the N stand for?
Intuitive.
Intuitive. T is thinking, J is judgmental. And the only difference is your feeling.
I'm a feeler.
Yeah.
I don't even think it tells you what these are in the book, so that's just from our general knowledge. Anyway, INTJ, so this is you, you're a scientist, and this picture has a guy with a really big brain.
Oh, that's definitely me.
That's definitely you. INTJs possess valuable insight through tenacious attention in their inner world and ideas. Logical analysis dominates their life. Their focus is on long-term, big-picture, strategic concepts and plans, and they are likely to work alone or in small, trusted groups. They are extremely confident with their ideas and trust their insight and their ideal solution, while constantly exploring scenarios to find the right answer. They are constantly seeking improvement, both from themselves and from the concept or system they are focusing on. They will become bored without challenge. However, they have a desire for independence and autonomy to discover, innovate, and achieve.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Me.
Okay.
Here's what I wonder about, though. Have you ever read a horoscope in the paper, for example?
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, that's me. That's happening to me today. And then you look at it and you realize that you read the wrong star sign.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah. So I kind of wonder if this wouldn't fit everybody, but I would agree with that for the most part. There are a lot of these tests. This is the Myers-Briggs test. There's another one that a lot of people use. It's called the DISC test, DISC. Chris Licurdo turned me on to that. A lot of you will know him from his podcast, Chris Lacurdo Show. Great guy, also here in Nashville. If you're interested in finding more about the people you work with, finding out about yourself, I think it's a good tool to use. I wouldn't necessarily base 100% of what I do upon these things, but it's fun if you're interested in learning about yourself a little bit.
I think it's really important to not only learn about yourself, but learn about the way other people see the world. Because, for example, one of my friends, she and her husband, she is an introvert and he is an extrovert. And around the holiday time, he is someone that wants to go to all of the holiday parties and be out in the merriment and be around people. And she's someone that just wants to curl up at home with a cup of tea. And for a while, they didn't really understand the difference there between why she wanted to stay at home. It felt like she was kind of a downer and he wanted to go out. So they were both getting frustrated with each other. But once they took this test and they realized, okay, he's just an extrovert and needs to be around people and she's an introvert, nothing's wrong with how the other one wants to do it. It just helped bring them closer together and have an understanding for each other. And that's where I think these tests come in, is you have an understanding and you don't just think, oh, they just don't understand me or they don't get what I need and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was another one of the big ideas that I took away from the Couple CEO book is, one, communication, but also appreciation within that. If you're talking to somebody or if you find out they're doing something different from the way you would do it, having appreciation for that.
I think that's really important, and I think expressing that appreciation on a regular basis is important as well, whether you're doing that with your employees or with your partner or your business partner, whatever that looks like for you, but expressing yourself in that way, I think is going to help the relationship move forward.
They've got 5 ways to do that in this book, and I'm curious to know what you think about them. These ways are not, as you will soon find out, for the general employee. These are for your significant other, although there are variations that would work on anybody in the office. Tell your partner every day that you love him. Send endearing messages at random. Commit to daily public displays of affection. See, that's not going to work in just a general office. You got to make sure you're actually connected, like a wife or a girlfriend.
Yeah, you don't want to grab your employees in any weird places.
That could get you in trouble.
No.
Take 10 minutes to do something your partner appreciates. Give a compliment every day. And having worked in general offices, I can say a lot of this stuff, they probably should have brought more of that into the office.
Well, I did something yesterday that you appreciated. Do you remember what it was?
Oh, babe, we can't talk about that here.
I made you tofu tacos.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Your mind just went straight to the gutter.
Well, that's the difference between us. For some reason, you stopped eating tofu.
Yep.
Because of that, we talked about this a few episodes ago, how I love Costco. I go in there, I buy bulk toilet paper. And one of the things that I wanted to get, bulk tofu, but I can't do it anymore because you don't like tofu.
I like it. I just don't want too much soy.
Just not too much soy.
So I made it for you. That was
but you made it just for me. That was very appreciated. I loved it.
Yep.
People listening are having their own version of me now. They're putting me through a disc test or a Myers-Briggs. They're saying, okay, he doesn't like sports. He likes tofu.
He likes alone time.
Alone time. Likes to cuddle. Lifetime movies. Pint of Ben and Jerry's every Friday night.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. It's like the porn for women guy.
That's funny.
We better explain that.
Porn for women is, I guess it's calendars or little books that you can buy at these funny gift stores. And it's all these pictures of men doing things that women would love. Like one of them is this guy with a yoga mat. And he's like, hey, honey, I'm going to yoga. Wondering if you wanted to come with me. And another one is the guy like washing the dishes with an apron on. And it's called Porn for Women. It's hilarious. And they're really like...
a guy holding a baby and vacuuming at the same time.
Yeah. And they're really like supermodel guy, like really hot guys too. So it's just, it's clever.
Yeah. It's not actual porn, but
for women, it
excites women just the same.
Yes.
If you have any questions about Couple CEO or how Laurel and I work together, feel free to reach out to us. We are at redpodcast redpodcast.com. Always open to business-related questions as well as suggestions for future Red Podcast episodes. Again, it's redpodcast.com. That's the best way to get directly to us. We'd appreciate if you would help us spread the word about Red Podcast, help us build the real entrepreneur development community. And you can do that by telling a friend about the show and also going to iTunes. If you go there and you search for Red Podcast, click on us and leave us a rating and review. That helps us come up more frequently in the iTunes charts. More people find us, and more people find this information, which adds to the community. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time on the Red Podcast.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, Real Entrepreneur Development. Subscribe today using iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS at redpodcast.com.